Welcome to Don't Text and Ride, how to be a responsible passenger in today's driving environment. This program has very soft and light music behind a serious subject to take away the sterile nature of learning material presentations, but make no mistake, it is sincerely presented as a way to save lives. Thanks for listening and sharing. This material, although copyrighted, is free to all. It can also be listened to free of charge on YouTube, listed as Don't Text and Ride. How to be a responsible passenger in today's driving environment. Now we are faced with another realization, the fact that we could save many lives by educating people that driving is no longer a one-pilot task. Rather, if you want to reduce your chances of a negative event happening in the car, especially the car you are riding in, you will participate in all facets of safety as relates to motor vehicle safety along with the driver as a participating passenger. We want to contribute some ideas and are determined to do so. So let's get started. From the standpoint of someone who is truly dedicated to keeping others from making mistakes that I have in the past, and the passengers have as well, it is of great interest to me that the amount of information on the internet and in driving school methods is almost non-existent with regards to passenger responsibility. The passenger's responsibilities. Let's get right to the point. The driver is responsible for driving, being fit to drive, and following the rules of the road and the laws that protect us all. However, the passengers have a growing responsibility. Let's take the front seat passenger. A passenger who knows the driver's condition to drive is either impaired, tired, upset, or nervous needs to drive the car themselves if they are licensed, and if they themselves are none of those, they need to take the wheel. A lot of drivers don't want to give up control of their vehicles, but they may not be fit to operate their own cars with you in it. Learn to be kind but persuasive in suggesting that all lives in the car could be affected by someone driving the car with less than a perfect state of mind. And if you are more fit, calm, and sober, you are more qualified to take the wheel. Okay, let's assume the driver is in good condition to drive and ready to be a safe driver. What can a passenger do to help lower the risk of an accident? Many things. First and foremost, look up and scan just as the driver is supposed to do. Look ahead for potential problems that the driver might miss. Watch for entering traffic from the right that may be easier for you to see because of your position. And watch for someone who slows down suddenly in front of you if the driver happens to be looking another way. Screen your head off. Anything. Watch it. Ahead. Or simply call their name loudly. It's not a bad idea to even tell the driver before you set out on your trip that you're going to help back them up while they drive in case anything were to come up. As a passenger, you have the right and responsibility to access the driver's condition before taking your life in their hands. Letting them know that they are not in condition to drive is not an insult. It's a warning to them that you do not intend to become injured because of them. If there is any respect for you, they will heed the warning and respect your concern. The next issues are some of the biggest and most important in this age of technology products in the car. It is here that the passenger can perform certain behaviors, actions, and the taking on of a responsibility not unlike that of a co-pilot in an aircraft. The first issue, put down the cell phone. Don't text and ride. That's right, don't text and ride. We've all heard don't text and drive, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the rider, the passenger. Instead of keeping your eyes down while playing games or reading and sending text messages, keep your head up and lend that second pair of eyes to the driver to help raise the level of driving safety and awareness. Certainly don't let the driver text and drive, but also ask them to pull over if a long conversation is absolutely necessary. If communication by a family member or important person to the driver is necessary, you handle the call and relay the questions of brief messages for the driver. Keep the conversation short and let the caller know that you are traveling in a moving car. Better still, ask the driver to change their message before driving at all to, "Sorry, I can't answer the phone right now. I am driving, but I will call you back." Then shut the phone off. You have to understand and accept that even if you use a hands-free system, your mind and your concentration are divided between driving tasks and the conversations you might be having. It's as if someone turned on a strange movie in your head, reflecting the image and location of the person to whom you are talking. If the conversation or call comes at a time when congestion, traffic, and potential risks are heightened, the unexpected movie is coming in at a very bad time. Now imagine how much more danger there is if, in addition to the movie, you are impaired, fatigued, or the danger level rises tremendously. Additionally, if the cell phone caller is calling with a negative message, avoid taking the call at all. An angry spouse, a boss, a co-worker, they can all cause an accident from the other end by causing the driver to become emotional and lose focus. The second issue, conversation that rambles. Of course you're going to have a conversation in the car, especially if the driver and passenger are alone in that car. However, try to keep your conversation simple and only loud enough to be heard. If there are several passengers in the rear seats, the volume levels of conversations can rise very quickly and become very distracting, especially in the case of several unruly children being loud and active at the same time. As a passenger, you have the responsibility and the ability to help control the kids in the back so the driver does not have to turn around and do so. Some technologies in the car can be a big help in controlling kids in the back. For example, vans that might be outfitted with movie screens that the kids can watch, which are also out of the line of sight of the driver. When the kids have something to do, even if it is playing with their own cell phone games, watching movies and so forth, the distraction levels of unruly kids can be lowered. The third issue, more on technology in the car. Being a front seat passenger, especially when driving to locations on unfamiliar roads, presents a special opportunity to contribute to the driver's needs. Before setting out on the road, make it your job to help with the navigation by learning how to program a GPS system that may be in the car. It's amazing how many people set out on the road and try to program a destination or change of destination to road service, restaurants, and the like while driving. Despite the warnings by manufacturers, programming before the trip is the way you're supposed to do it. Adding to this problem is the fact that GPS systems are not often up to date to account for road hazards, detours, or new road construction. When the GPS takes you in a direction that you feel is not right, it can lead to elevated tensions as the driver tries to find the way. As a responsible passenger, learn to run that GPS system so you can help them get back on track. Let's look at the types of GPS systems that are out there today, because you may own one. Portable GPS units were very popular for several years. Those are the ones that attach to the windshield. But they're often too small to see clearly, especially in daylight. The print is too small to read, and the voice in the speaking units is often masked by noises both inside and outside the vehicle. It's too low. They can cause the driver to take their eyes off the road and interrupt long-distance vision. Furthermore, many of these units have to be programmed by connection to a computer for updates, rather than being able to receive those updates from satellites. They also cut in and out as the signal is weakened by either a bridge, a tunnel, or even dense tree cover that can interrupt the signal. Cell phone GPS programs are available to most cell phones today. They work well, and they're updated often by the cell phone satellite systems. However, once again, they have small screens that can take your eyes off the road. They also have low volume levels that are difficult to hear over, especially if there are conversations in the car, and sometimes they can't be heard at all when a radio or music system is on. Don't let the driver become distracted by their cell phone being used as a GPS. As a passenger, you should operate it. The new cell phones that have matching wristwatches and screens have recently become available and can even create more distractions for the driver as they, quote, play, unquote, with their gadgets in the car. If you purchase a new car, insist that the dealer take you through all the safety features as well as the technology items in the car, step by step. GPS systems in the dashboard, as installed by the manufacturer, have larger screens and are easier to see. They are also easier to hear, often coming through the car's sound system. However, no matter what GPS system you have, they have to be programmed for destinations ahead. So how does a front seat passenger help the driver become safer and stay on course? Prior to a trip, ask the driver to let you read the GPS owner's manual so you can not only learn to set the destination information, but you can change it as you go along to pull up road services and others that you may need on the way. That lets the driver concentrate on the road ahead. Be sure the home destination for the return trip is already programmed in. It will save you a lot of time. The fifth issue, monitoring the driver's fatigue. All drivers should stop to stretch and break the monotony of the road every couple of hours, even in rest areas. Passengers can keep an eye on the driver and the clock to help meet those suggested break times. If you're the passenger, and if you have to, especially if the driver wants to forge ahead and get to the travel, tell them you have to go to the bathroom. Make them stop at a rest area. And as a passenger, be aware of the car's windows. As the driver refuels, for example, jump on the opportunity to clean the windshield, side windows, rear windows, and mirrors. Participate in every little thing that can make for better vision while driving. Look, as a passenger, you cannot do it all, but you sure can help raise the level of safety by participating in the process. It's most helpful to be a passenger who is capable of giving the primary driver a rest from the road, too, by taking over the driving chores once in a while. The fourth issue, even more technology in the car. There are many forms of technology in the car today, from DVD movie players, CD music systems, MP3 players, just to name a few. As a driver, the last thing you need is to divert your attention from the road to locate, change, and load a disc into the player. However, a passenger can do this with ease, and it is suggested that they be the ones to make those entertainment changes. Keep the volume levels lower in the front. Most new car entertainment systems allow you to lower the speaker volume in the front, keeping it substantially louder for the kids in the back who might be watching a movie. But be aware that some movies tend to have flashing scenes with lots of light changes that can be distracting if they reflect on the window of a vehicle, especially in the dark. Choosing less screen-active movies can lessen those flashes and make it easier to see, especially at night. The sixth issue, eating in the car. Everyone I know eats food, snacks, and drinks in the car. The passenger has the responsibility, though, to hand out the food or drinks from a cooler to the rest of the passengers and include the driver, especially drinks. Although it does take one hand off the wheel momentarily, the passenger can hold the drink and pass it to the driver when necessary. However, it's always better to make a food and rest stop at the same time rather than eat while the vehicle is in motion. In conclusion, all passengers have a moral, if not legal, responsibility to help the driver be safer. Be proactive in assisting in that co-pilot position for the good of all, both inside and outside the vehicle. Back up the driver by being observant and making sure the driver and all passengers have a properly secured seatbelt on at all times when the car is in motion. At every stop, be sure to check the position and lockdown of any child restraint seats that may be used on the trip. And remember, all travel, no matter how long or short, deserves your attention as a passenger to follow through with your participation as a safe driving supporter, that of a good passenger. Lastly, heed the advice. Put the cell phone down. Help the driver be safer. Don't ride and text. Don't text and ride. Participate and have a safe trip.
Oh! Go! Party! Party! Oh! Go! Go!
Hey everybody,
go,
we're going for a ride. Grab your cell phone.
dying to drive, you're not driving to die, but the chips are stacked against you, and I gotta tell you why. And see, the times have changed tremendously. The driving's gotten rougher, the punishments are tougher, they can take away your license, they take away your car. No matter how you're walking, dude, you won't get very far, because increases in insurance, they make you go to school, while all your friends are taking in another round of coal. Points on your license, they restrict the times you're free to drive to all the places where you really need to be. And if you didn't have your seatbelt on or beer cans on the floor, you probably like your punishment, you're gonna get some more. Loud music, passengers, french fries, and cola can cause a big distraction that will cost you some payola. But the cell phone's the worst, because it takes your mind away from the way you gotta drive to stay alive and to be safe. We really have a problem, it's taking lots of lives from the cell phone maniacs that don't know how to drive. Text messaging and constant calls keep eyes from looking ahead. A fraction of a second on the phone could make you dead. The cell phone is a weapon of mass distraction, a weapon you can buy for less than one tank of gas. And if you think you can drive with a cell phone in your hand, the stats are in, the smarts are out, and you're a stupid ass. Anyone who has seen it, all going down, the speeding up and slowing up and acting like a clown, ignoring rules, ignoring bans, ignoring local law, the tickets and insurance lights, you won't be driving anymore. I come off like a daddy or the teacher or the man. I have to do what I think is right, I'm doing all I can. I want to make a difference, and I can tell you why. Driving cars is serious, I don't want you to die. I'm asking you to listen, and if you do not agree, the first thing that you hurt someone, don't come crying to me. I'm warning little kids everywhere, you've got to take a stand. Don't let anyone who drives a car take your life in their hands. Some common sense and simple rules will let you stay alive. There's nothing wrong with anyone who simply wants to drive, but there's a good drive, a bad drive, a stupid drive, the law. You want to stay alive? To drive a little more, drive right. Don't text and drive. Stay off the phone. Just drive. No one can concentrate on their driving and a telephone call at the same time while people are steering and pointing 4,000 pounds of steel at you at every corner. And what are you really talking about that's going to change your life?